Resident Evil 3. Released in 1999, it is the third installment in the Resident Evil franchise and the final numbered entry to release on the PlayStation 1. The story follows my favorite video game heroine of all time, Jill Valentine, as she attempts to escape from the doomed Raccoon City. The game uses the same third-person tank controls and pre-rendered backgrounds as parts 1 and 2, but with improved features such as the quick turn, ammo crafting, and the ability to go up and down stairs without the need of a loading screen or button press. The game was ported to Windows and Dreamcast in 2000 and even had a GameCube port. I'm going to be replaying the original PlayStation 1 version in segments as I count down the days until April 3rd, 2020, when the Resident Evil 3 remake drops. With that being said, my name is Clay from Clinical Term Nerd, and let's jump right in.
It all began as an ordinary day in September, an ordinary day in Raccoon City, a city controlled by Umbrella. No one dared to oppose them, and that lack of strength would ultimately lead to their destruction. I suppose they had to suffer the consequences of their actions, but there would be no forgiveness. If only they had had the courage to fight. It's true that once the wheels of justice begin to turn, nothing can stop them. Nothing. It was Raccoon City's last chance, and my last chance. My last escape.
This is Chopper Delta, preparing to drop off at area E95070. Over.
What are they? No!
Every time I play this game, I love that intro. Okay, let's jump right in. Picture it outside Jill's apartment. It definitely looks like they're going to be keeping at least some kind of portion of the apartment in the remake. I'm also playing this on easy. There is a hard mode. The differences in the different difficulty settings are, with easy mode, you start off with the assault rifle, and a lot of the guns are already in the item box. And then with hard mode, you get the handgun, but you also will get item drops from Nimi if you can defeat him every time. I've played it before on hard mode. I just haven't played tank controls in a while, so I'm not going to lie, I'm going to play easy. And then coming up is a character that I didn't really know that people were obsessed with, which is Dario Russo.
September 28th, daylight. The monsters have overtaken the city. Somehow, I'm still alive. Okay, we've got to get out of here.
What? What do you think you're talking about? I just lost my daughter out. How dare you tell me to go back outside?
I'm sorry about your daughter, but there isn't gonna be any rescue. We have to get out of here.
No! I'm not going anywhere. I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone!
So dramatic. Okay. Yeah, I never realized how popular he was, but when they announced the RE3 remake, people were like, is he going to be in the game? And then they released, like, footage of him, or not really footage, but, like, a screenshot, so, I could take him or leave him. Like, this scene is iconic to me, but, like, Um, I gotta get used to the tank controls again. So yeah, like I was saying, there are two difficulty settings. I'm doing easy just because obviously, like, I'm not that good at tank controls. Going from the modern ones back to these, I have played and beat hard before, mainly on the GameCube version, which I still have. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab this gunpowder. Let's get rid of these manuals as well. So this manual is basically just instructions on the game. It's teaching you the quick turn and stuff like that. Not even gonna bother reading it. And then this one is just teaching you the ammo crafting. I'll look at it later if I have to. I remember that, like, the A gunpowder will create the handgun mainly, and then B is used for a shotgun. And then you can combine, like, you can kind of mix and match to make enhanced ammo and, like, other rounds. But we're gonna store it for now because we don't need it. And then I'm also going to get rid of my assault rifle because even though it is on easy, you really don't need it. The handgun is just fine, and the game doesn't, like... It's not like the game doesn't throw enough ammo at you so you ever feel like you're losing. I don't know. Words are hard. Let's take our first key item of the game. So yeah, when I think of, like, Resident Evil 3, I feel like the opening cutscene, the warehouse, and then the RPD are, like, the iconic moments that I think of, like, in the first portion of the game. When I was little, like, I loved this game, but I was never, like, skilled enough to beat it. I didn't actually beat it until I got the GameCube version when I was much older. So I mainly would just play, like, this portion up to the RPD and never could figure out how to leave the RPD. And then even if I did, like, I couldn't get past the City Hall puzzle. And another funny thing, like, when I look up, like, fun facts or people's opinions, they always associate RE3 with being much more, like, open world-ish, at least for the, as far as the PlayStation 1 can make a game open world, and it's really not. The maps are still very closed, very linear. They're just themed around cities, so you feel like you're outside, you feel like you're in the open. And it looks like they've already confirmed that the remake is not going to be, like, open world game. You are going to have a few, like, branching paths that you can take, but for the most part it's very, like, point A to point B, which I'm fine with. The game is a prequel sequel to Resident Evil 2, by the way. It does take place, the portion that we're currently playing does take place 24 hours before the events of Part 2. And then there will be a moment when Jill becomes incapacitated for a couple days. I think it's 2 days. And then when you regain control of her as a playable character, we are now after the events of Part 2. Because we do play as Carlos for a portion. And then this area right here, I wanted to show really quick, is there's another route that we could have taken, and it basically will bypass the cop car and the area that I walk by and bring you to this room quicker. It doesn't really matter which way you go, but you do have to go inside this door because we have to go in here and get the lighter fluid, and then you will also find the shotgun. You don't really need the shotgun if you don't want it. It is fully loaded, so, like, you'll have extra rounds, but you also have a shotgun inside the item box if you play on easy. Okay, I think there was one more in there. Come on. Oh, you bastard. Okay, let's reload. sometimes, like, the AI, they'll stumble back over. And no. Oh shit, there's two. Another thing is people hate the dodge mechanic in this game. I've never really had any problems with it. As far as it being, like, cumbersome or, like, annoying, it always seems to work for me as long as you time it very well. And there's a few moments in the bonus game, Mercenaries, that you can actually spam the action button to get more time on your... to get, like, more experience points, whatever it is that you can use to trade in for, like, the perks in the game, the unlimited ammo, you can actually spam it. The dodge mechanic is returning for the remake, but it's going to be mapped to your shoulder button, so it's going to be a lot easier to use, which I think will make a lot of people happy. Yeah, I got on a rant. So yeah, I picked up those green herbs because we are going to find some red ones coming up. And we would have to come back this way anyway if we wanted to go back and check on Dario, because you can actually go back to him, and you'll find his dead body with a file, and you need that file if you want to get, like, full completion of the game. A few of these guys you can just really dodge right past them. And then that's the boutique. There's no point going in there right now because it's locked. After you beat the game for the first time, you can go back, and then you can change Jill into a couple of other costumes. I know her STARS uniform from the first game is in there, and also Regina's costume from Dino Crisis. Let's go back and get this map really quick. A cool thing that I found out recently is that the developers actually designed the game so that up to 9 enemies or more could appear on the screen at the same time. And then this improved their AI, so that's why the zombies are able to go up and down the stairs, because since Jill can now go up and down the stairs without a loading screen or having to press a button, the zombies can as well. Which was just kind of weird that it then carried over to Code Veronica. You had to do a loading screen or a button press again. And there's conflicting reports that Code Veronica was the original 3, and then there's other reports that this game was always supposed to be number 3, so I don't know, like, which one's fact. Capcom has never really, to my knowledge, come out and said anything. And then that was a quick glimpse of Mr. Brad Vickers, who we're about to go save. Brad is the helicopter pilot from the original game who gets scared and, like, flies off and leaves your team down there in the forest, so that's why you end up in the Spencer mansion. And then he returns for this game, but very briefly.
Get away!
Brad, hang in there. Why isn't someone doing something about this?
I didn't know you were still alive, Jill. The police aren't trained for this kind of situation. What could they do? Listen, he's coming for us. We're both gonna die.
What are you saying?
You'll see. He's after STARS members. There's no escape.
Also, could he be any more vague? Like, why don't it just be like, hey, there's a hulking behemoth that has a melted Freddy Krueger face trying to kill us, but whatever. So yeah, here's a lighter, which we are going to combine with the lighter fluid. You use it a couple times. Obviously, there's one coming up. I can't remember the other one. I know there's another time you use it. I can't remember. And then the clock tower, which is a portion of the game we will be going to later, kind of like the midpoint in the game. They haven't confirmed yet if this is going to be in the remake. There was a Capcom TV gameplay footage, very short, but it was like a quick demo, and there was a puzzle in the background. It looks like the City Hall jewel puzzle, but over the top of it, it does mention the clock tower, so I'm assuming it's going to return, but they haven't confirmed that. I feel like you can't have, like, Resident Evil 3 without the clock tower. Yeah, so one of the cool features about Resident Evil 3 is, unlike Resident Evil 1 and 2, which features 2 different protagonists. Resident Evil 3 actually is just a single CD game, and it only focuses on Jill Valentine. I read that Capcom chose Jill as the protagonist of this game because she was really the only character remaining, because they were already planning on putting Claire Redfield and Chris Redfield in Code Veronica, which I'm fine with because I prefer Jill. You really only ever see her in 1 and 3, and then she appears in 5. She is playable in the DLC. Let's use this barrel really quick. Barbecue. Yeah, so she's playable in RE5 and the DLC, and then she's available in Revelations, but like she hasn't been in a numbered entry since this one, focusing on her. But we've had so many of Leon and Chris, so I would like to see a game focus more on like Claire or Jill Valentine. And then we're going to take both of these herbs and combine them, because shit's about to get real. I also love how there was a photographer capturing the opening cutscene. Then obviously the herbs have been a staple of the series since part 1. They only really ever changed it for 6, where they were like little like Mentos tablets, and then 7 where it was like liquid. And then I believe there's some dogs coming up. Let me go ahead and get my shotgun out. Yeah, there they are. Okay, say goodnight, pooches. I don't feel like the dogs are as hard to deal with in this game as part 2, but then I always like... There's certain creatures that I associate with certain games, so like the Lickers obviously part 2. I feel like if there's ever a Jill game, there's going to be hunters in them, and then the dogs are kind of in every game, but they seem more difficult in part 2 than this one. We're going to store this for now because we really don't need it. And then I'm going to go ahead and reload the shotgun. Yeah, so there's already a shotgun in there. I just look at it as you might as well collect this one because it's an extra 7 rounds. And then we're going to grab this powder. Yeah, so A, like if I was to combine A and A right now, I would get handgun ammo. And then if you combine B, I think it's just B and B, you'll get shotgun ammo. Powder A is the one that you encounter most common in this game. We're not going to save because we can get past Nemi pretty easily. Speaking of Nemesis, the Nemesis creature was actually inspired by the liquid metal T-1000 from Terminator 2, which is Judgment Day. According to Mikami, he said he wanted to introduce a new kind of fear into the game, a persistent feeling of paranoia. The Nemesis brings that on in spades. When it disappears after the first confrontation, you live in a constant dread of the next attack. The idea is to make you feel like you're being stalked. So yeah, we're about to encounter Nemesis, which is kind of one of the more iconic scenes in, I feel like, the franchise, especially this game. This is where Brad is going to bite the dust. When I think of this game, I think of this scene, and there's just something iconic about it. And there is the first live selection choice, which is where you can kind of pick your own adventure. We're going to fight the monster, but we're not really going to fight him. I'm going to try to grab Brad's card off of his corpse, and that'll bypass one of the puzzles.
Jill!
Brad!
We've got to... Jill! Help!
Brad is dead. He kind of had it coming, but anyway, I hope they kind of expand on his character in the remake. It looks like they're going to. And then we are going to fight the monster, but not really. We're going to try to juke him and grab this card, which if you grab his card, you don't have to go looking for yours, and then you can access the computer a little bit quicker. If you fight him on hard mode, he does drop weapon parts, and eventually he'll drop like a first aid kit that can hold 3 items. We already have one of those. And now we are inside the RPD. I think I'm going to stop it here. I feel like 20 minutes is a good like stopping point for my first Let's Play ever. And once again, I am Clay from Clinical Term Nerd. You can find us on our podcast, which releases weekly. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Once again, that is Clinical Term Nerd. I know this is kind of like a rough Let's Play. It was kind of thrown together at the last minute. I will try to get better as we go along, but I want to thank you guys again for tuning in and for any support that you give us. Catch you later.